Looks like everybody's slack tonight. Andre, seems like you're about the first person and only person here at this point. Seems like YouTube's really putting down the thumb screws on me. Okay, so the battery, this frame goes down first. It has been several weeks since I have actually done this disassembly. And all it needed was a replacement charge port, but by golly, very few people actually stock the charge port, and then it took about 4 weeks to get here. Hey D, good evening. No notifications at all. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah, a PR. Alright, hopefully I'll get everything done right here. This is a case where you have a billion too many screws holding down a chassis. It's a little bit of an overkill. Makes me thankful at least that the job, fingers crossed, is only just a bad jack. I even ordered it from the United States, but it seems that ordering things from the United States is in itself almost a guaranteed way to have dreadfully poor delivery times. Alright, now the fun part, which is of course trying to work out which of these many screws goes where. Well, I think we can take a good estimate that the longest ones go into the hinges. It's a fairly reasonable starting point. This is a 34, 37 from the other night. That can go to hell. We'll get this out of the way so I can get on with other jobs. Hey Richard, Travis, Andrew. Hey Jim, good evening Jim. Christian. Alright. This is the fun thing when you're working on Macbooks, is that you end up with a whole lot of drivers on your workbench, and not too many of them are plain boring old Phillips head. Alright, so you're going to be... But that makes me wonder, where's the bottom case for this? Oh, where is the bottom case for this? Oh, sweet blimey heck. Was it even supplied with one? I can't see anything in the slot where it was resting. Just seems a little unusual for it to turn up with nothing but that, but like I said, I don't see it anywhere, so me no see bottom shield, therefore wait, what's this? No, you're a Lenovo, you're definitely not compatible. Yeah, I'm suspecting it arrived like this. Hey Upperman. Alright, so here we go. This is the great guessing game of how many hinges can I butch up. That feels a little bit too shallow. Okay, I'm thinking this one over here. Yep, okay. So you want to get about 80% of the screw into a hole and then give it a good twist and it should tighten up, in theory. There are markings on this magnesium chassis that should tell me, but since when do you trust the markings, especially when you can't read such small writing as is my case? Yeah, you go. Look, I really didn't know myself. I believe it's when I messed up momentarily with an SMC reball, and Lewis decided it was funny for some reason. It was a very serious matter, but Lewis decided he was going to laugh at it, as a typical cruel, heartless person that he is. Hey, Ratmole. Alright, so far not too destructive. I'm going to have to go under the microscope to read these. I'm pretty sure though it says 2x3. Then, to be honest, almost all of them look like 2x3s, except for a couple around here. And these are more 2x5 or 2x6. So 2x6. And there's one odd screw here. That's about a 2x4, I think. I'm gonna suck and guess it was that one there. Which pretty much leaves everything else to be the 2x3s. The joys of eliminating things. This is going to be a long, slow process. Not as bad as doing a MacBook keyboard, but we'll just keep persisting, we'll get through it. You don't really see these magnesium casts very often in machines anymore. Okay, that one there feels a bit funny, so I'll come back and have a look at that later. It could just be a case of sometimes you get a screw that's got a slightly damaged thread and just decides it doesn't want to dance with what you're trying to put into it. Okay, you're something else. Used to do support for HP and they're all a pain in the butt. Yep, that's pretty much what I found. I very quickly became weary of HP. They would certainly produce a machine that had a nice sort of compactness, for the features you were getting. But the downside was, of course, that they were exceptionally annoying to work on. Alright, we have the first of our problems here. We've got multiple screws left over. Let's see, what about you? Okay, that one goes in there, that's good. That was lucky. Let's see, what about these guys in the back here? Alright. Doesn't feel like those two there are correct. We've got one left, which could be that one. I don't know why, but you feel like you've had a bad day. Let's have a look at why the screw feels like it's had a bad day. And it's metric 2x3, but for some reason it seems a bit chewed out. But yeah, it's definitely marked 2x3. Same as them all, 2x3, 2x3. So it's definitely a 2x3, but for some reason the screw doesn't want to go into it properly. So I'd say someone's probably jammed the wrong screw in there, over tightened it and caused the thread to get mangled. Hey MC Rams, do you prefer MC Rams like MC Hammer or Mc Rams? Okay, bit of extra prejudice and it's screwed in. And that's everything. So I definitely did not have the bottom case in this case, because if I did, I would have spare screws. Let's see if this even charges. Oh, you know what helps before I do that? Plug the battery in. It's one of those slightly important items on the list. Okay, no flashbang. That's a good start. Hey, fix it, bro. Hinges are a bit sloppy. Okay, so it come up for an instant. Alright, that's charging intermittently. I'm kind of worried this connector here might have been damaged. Keyboard backlight is on. Nothing on the screen. See if the chipmunk says anything. Chipmunk says someone has mangled their USB port beyond repair there. Idiots. Alright, CMOS checksum is invalid. Fair enough. I really don't know what it's up to at the moment. Maybe I need to press F9 or something like that. Where the heck's the on-off button anyway? Oh, it's booting Windows 10 right now. Oh, where is the on-off button on this thing? Oh, it's on the back of the screen. Okay. So it appears this is probably a case of everything is inside the screen assembly. No, that makes no sense. After all, does it? I don't know. I'm talking trash. I don't know what it's doing. I'm going to put this to the side while it decides what it's going to do today. It is getting power at least, which it wasn't getting before. So I consider that a bit of a win, but I suspect that power connector is actually damaged, which is not going to be much chop. Okay, that job's out of the way. Oh yeah, pain in the butt always. I used to, if I was given a choice between Toshiba and HP, I would take the Toshiba every time for a repair. 90% of the time the Toshibas would have mostly just empty space in them, and I was happy for that. It was good to have empty space in them. Alright, this one I'm going to have to switch to here's my face view, because there's data on the underside of it. So what's this one? So, no boot, logic board repair issue, previous repair reports faulty CPU, but who knows? Okay. That means the person sending this to me is probably, they're kind of hoping I'll be able to tell them no, it's actually something else, but I have a suspicion it's probably is a CPU failure too. But we'll see. We will see. Just getting that bottom panel off. Hey promo. Hey Def Pump. Didn't see you sneak in there. Yeah, come on. Oh, this is one of the ones that are very difficult to. There we go. I remember the very first was this in 239, I think. Yeah. Overhead. I don't know how many people remember opening up their first of these new generation type cases where you have to pop the top off incrementally and then give a bit of strength and pull out away from the interlock. But yeah, some of them are dead easy. You just slip them off, no drama. But the very first one I had, it was genuinely tied in there very tight, and it was a real struggle because when you don't know what you're dealing with, in the sense of when you haven't had the muscle memory experience of knowing how much force you can put in, it can be a little bit terrifying. Look, really, if we're really lucky, this is going to be a PP bus short. If we're really lucky. I don't know if we're going to be that lucky, but I'm kind of hoping we will be, but who knows. Usually the O1041 has this problem, but sometimes the 239 I think can have it. Probably wrong in this instance. I'm just looking for my current meter. Hey Nick Vasey. Okay, let's see. 20 volts, 230, 300, 400, 500. This thing's going to boot, isn't it? 700. This thing's booting. Well, something's going on. 1.5 amps. Mind you, it could be charging the battery, to be honest. Alright. We'll disconnect the battery and see what it's doing then. Realistically, it should have done that anyway. Straight up, take the battery off. It's weird, it doesn't feel like someone has actually taken this board out or anything. It feels like this has never been opened before, to be honest. Okay, here we go again. So I've got our 20 volts and 40, 50... Yeah, 40 to 50 milliamps on 20 volts. I'm going to assume we've got a short on our PP bus somewhere. Pretty sure it's a 928. What? Cancel. Yeah, 9 what? Yep, 928. You'd think I'd know these things off by heart, but I do not. The part of the brain that remembers medium duration type items, I think that shriveled up and died along with a few other things in my head. Schematics. This board does not have the facility that I'm thinking might be at fault. So we'll just find PP bus, see where our main fuse is. So we've got these two big caps up here, we'll have a look at those. Damn, I'm wrong, no short. Alright, okay, the game's afoot then. I was kind of hoping it was going to be that, but it's not. So we are now in the position where we have to engage the brain. Tough luck, brain. Thought you could take a rest today, but not happening. Miles, DF is usually a bit above sort of 50, more close to 70. Actually, you know what I should measure is the resistances of these here. Come to think of it, this is the one with the mux on it. I'm kind of wondering if it is booting. It could be... No, it's not booting. No. Paul getting excited about prospects that aren't there. Kind of like when someone you've got the hots for accidentally emails you. And you go, oh boy, it's finally happening, and then you realise I sent it to the wrong address. I'm going to get the board out just to check it visually for everything. There are some fingerprints on it, but I don't know if they're factory fingerprints or genuine Apple fingerprints, that is. It's just going to be easier for me to check it over. Okay, so we don't have any blown up contacts there, so that's always nice. It is a bit of a slow process disassembling these, which is why you generally get charged a little extra when you bring these in for service. And you compare the amount of time it takes to disassemble this machine versus, say, an A1466, you know, it's quite a difference. Oh, by the way, Miles, I saw that you posted about where to get those tweezers from in Australia. And indicating that I was getting them from the United States, but I actually get mine from... I was getting mine from Union Repair, so not the United States. But then I think you might have retracted that statement. Hey, Greg. Hey, mountain biking kid. And I take back my remark that no one's been in here because I'm just starting to see chip marks on the screws, which means they have been touched. Union Repair, well, at least for me, maybe you guys, yeah, maybe there is a reseller in the United States, but for me it's China, or Hong Kong, or something like that. Yeah, it never comes from the United States for me. Hey, Michael Billman. Oh, Nick, you finally moved to the new Apple stuff. 16 Mac Pro, 13 M1. Oh, I do need to get myself an M1 to see what they're like. Also have it around for spare parts if I have to. Okay, we need a T8 to get these heatsink screws out. And we're almost there. I'm sure I've missed something. Guess we'll just try yank it out and see what happens. Okay, there's a little smidge of liquid there. This is actually quite dust free, but I don't know if someone else has maybe blown the dust out. There's a bit of dust building up over here, the sort of dust that often results in a few specks of corrosion building up. I'm just seeing if I can, yeah, I'm just seeing if I can see anything popping up. Alright, microscope time. $9 per pair is pretty good. Hey, Mike Sims, evening. Okay, we're going through that thing again where I cannot, for the life of me, pick the focus. I think it's my right eye that's giving me hell. Or my left, I can't be sure. Yeah, I shouldn't laugh. I'm the one that's suffering. So I'm not too worried about that sort of dust around the CD3215s because we're already getting 20 volts, so we know that that side of things is working. It could end up being that it is indeed DFU'd, or it could be a dead CPU, but we're going to have a look around first before we completely rule out anything. Okay, so you can see you're starting to get that greenish corrosion developing here, but whatever's under here should be okay. Is that a bit of corrosion on that? There's a itty bit of corrosion there. Question is that enough to kill the machine? I don't even know what that part does. It's U6360. The mouse is playing silly buggers with me now. And me. PP1V8 SO audio. It's audio that really should not be causing any dramas. I mean, I've marked it, but it's not something that should be inhibiting it from booting. We do know that we are getting charging. Oh, Mike, nice. Nice big chunky pineapple pizza. Fantastic. They'll probably give Travis Stamper a bit of an aneurysm, but it's going to be worth it. So we may have to chase rails on this, but I will check the CPU resistances first off. Like I said, it's dusty, but it's not what I would consider to be fatally dusty. And someone has been probing on that. You can see the little probe mark on there. Oh, shite. Sorry. You can see someone's been probing on the fuse. Fuse is fine. And that does not mean there's a short on that rail. It just means that the caps, there's a lot of capacitance on that rail, and it will draw power from the meter, which makes the meter think that it's in a short condition until those caps are charged up sufficiently. Which is why it's good to watch the resistance value as you look at the as you listen to the beeping, because it will tell you, you'll see it increasing, and then eventually it'll cut out as it goes above the threshold. Now, I'm not even seeing any liquid damage around the CPU VREG system. Yeah, this one's interesting. They've got scratch marks on the inductors there. And we've been down here before. I wonder, what if it's something else, like the keyboard or something holding it down? Let's plug in a power connector and see what happens outside of the chassis. $20 volts, 40, 50. Stuck on 50. Well, what do we vote? Bring out the gym cam because we're lazy SOBs? I think so. Laziness is not a fantastic virtue, but it can be useful. You're not going to get the AoE test activating anything in this particular one because we are only dealing with 50 milliamp. So it's at the very best it's going to be marginal. What I'm probably more looking for is a pulsator or a heartbeat fault. So I'll just disconnect that. Take that around. Yeah, so heartbeat fault's about our only real prospect. And that's not easy to get because everything's so damn reflective. Ach, niemand. You must. You can't say that, Paul. You can't say that. Just put 2 little screws into there. If it's a bad cap or some parts shorted, we may get a heartbeat fault. It's not guaranteed. Basically, this is a step I take before I bother to start going through the rails and checking for shorts. Shift that down a bit. Move that stuff out of the way. So basically just looking around to see if there's any pixels popping up periodically. It doesn't have to get the crosshair's attention, but sometimes you can see just a small couple of pixels pulsating somewhere, and they'll be like in the low purple. It's sad. The heat from my hand resting on the board, on the bench, has created enough. No, I'm not seeing anything there. I'll try the other side now. There's a little crystal there that is trying to fake it. Nope, not seeing anything there, and I just accidentally disconnected the... Nope, I got nothing, John. Alright, we're gonna have to go for the rails. Ow, that actually hurt. Whatever the heck it was, that just... something just hurt inside of me. Wrong orientation. Okay, I'm just going to go through and now start checking. So that one's fine. Actually, I suppose, yeah, check the CPUs. Check the CPU phases. See if anything goes beep, in which case we'll cry. .6, that's not very happy. Let's try an actual resistance mode. Yeah, that's going to be close to 0, and I can see someone's been poking around as well. So, yeah, 1.7. This one's a toast. This is da toaster. 2.6. So that's vaguely plausible, but that's the graphics chip. Yeah. But yeah, the CPU phases. Oh, 2.6 for that. .6. All a little bit low. Just a wee tad low. Damn. Oh great, I don't have 90. Looks like I got my work cut out to me. Richard, I fixed that up I think about a month ago now. I replaced the on-circuit board, the PCB mount buzzer with a fly-leaded one. And I was able to relocate it into a different part of the chassis, so that it probably helps as well with the echoing effect. But it's very distinctly much louder, yes. I can actually hear it now. Whereas before I was wondering whether I'd imagine that I'm hearing it. We'll have a look at the CPU. Not sure if this one will actually show a crack or anything. I don't really too often see them with cracks. About the only time I generally see cracks in the dies of things like the PCH are on things like the 165 mainboards. On a lot of these ones, it just seems to be more of it's just dead. Yeah, nothing more. No, on these ones there's not a lot under the That's kind of weird. It's like someone picked it up and slid it that way. But no, unfortunately, the chances of it being some other fancy cap are pretty low. We can try put like 0.5 volt in and see what happens, but I suspect we're not going to have any happy outcomes on this one. See, Miles had a nice scare this week. 34-37, procrastinating, will not give you DC in, wiggled the mag safe, got sparks and smoke. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have had that happen even with genuines. Sometimes, yeah, even though it's not supposed to do that, sometimes they can get activated, start producing power, and then you wiggle them again. And then they go, you can't do that, and they spark up on you. Alright. So, what do you say? We put 0.5 volts in, see what gets warm, and that's about it. Not much else we can do. Didn't Lewis just do a board that had pretty much the same issue? I think he did. The only difference is that his was on G3 hot rail, whereas mine is not. Mine is just on the phase CPU phase lines. Yeah, these things here. I'll just put it on. You can pretty much pick any of them. I'll put it on this one here. Yep, that's like that's like that guy that did the GPU thing. Okay, now that's soldered. Fortunately, Miles, there's plenty of perfectly decent power supplies out there now. Depends what you want out of them. The only reason I get anything that's programmable is simply because I want to be able to read the data off it more than set the data. The cheaper programmable ones, though, can be a bit of a nightmare. They don't really allow access to the data and using the front panel. This one that I've got, which is the multi-comp 7186, it does. So I'm quite happy with that one. The multi-comp is just a generic branding for some other brand. I think it's a I think it's an O1. I can't remember what brand it is. Anyway, needs to say, it's multi-comp itself is not really a manufacturer. Scope cam frozen, eh? Alright, just power it off for a little bit while we're off scene. It doesn't happen too often. Okay. Let's see if it's picking up properly now. Yeah, it's not. Well, okay. There we go, that's better. Okay, let's see. So we've got 0.5 volts, 5 amp max. And we're not drawing that. Alright, so that means it's not likely shorted. Or maybe it is. 1 ohm. Damn it. So bringing up the other board, the 239, and see if I've got data for those pads. Well, the 239, the GPU, not the GPU, the CPU core is running around about the GPU is 4 ohms, the CPU is 8 ohms. So the fact that we're doing 1 ohm is still rather concerning. Well, we'll see what heats up. If it's the die that heats up, then we'll basically call it a night for that. If we're lucky, it might be something else. Somehow I don't think that's going to be our blessing for the evening. Could be the VRM, yes. I'm just thinking that the likelihood of it is comparatively small. Anyway, here we go. Power on. And there goes the die. I can see it heating up. So if we tilt this up a little bit. No, actually I thought it was that no, we've got something in the corner going on instead. Something over here. To be fair, we're only drawing 200 milliwatts. It's not really a good comparison. I would consider this inconclusive. I'm not cranking it up. It's already at 0.5 volt. I don't want to take it any further. Just in case the CPU is in fact alive and we toast it. I don't think I'll be very pleased with myself if that happened. Info Squad, describe to me how you would use an oscilloscope to determine if the power was working, power supply. Are you talking about having a look at see if the switch mode was doing its job or something else? Yes, I believe a rabbit hole is what I have been sent. Checking activations, PMW pulses, events that happen in milliseconds. Yeah, okay, that's great in theory, and you are correct. Yes, you can do things like that. Where it's a major pain in the ass, though, is actually setting up the board in order to be able to diagnose that. Most cases, it's faster to simply do other sort of empirical testing than it is to try and rig up all those sort of get your DSO like an eight channel DSO to see if everything happens in sequence and stuff like that. So it, like I said, that's the theory is great. The practicality is terrible. I don't mean it's a. Yeah, I don't mean to take that as a personal thing. It's just that's why a lot of people you buy a oscilloscope because you think you're gonna save the world of computers or whatever, electronics, and fix everything easier. And 90% of the time, the oscilloscope just sits in the shelf and rots because after the first couple of times, you realize that it's a colossal pain to get things rigged up for it. It's different if you're doing things like diagnostics work, research and development, and you're trying to debug an I2C line or something like that. But in these scenarios, it generally is quicker to just go along and test rail resistances and things like that. Yeah, Info Squad, I've had oscilloscopes for 25 odd years now, and like I said, you are technically correct, yes. And maybe it comes down to the person, but I find setting up oscilloscopes, particularly on this sort of stuff, it tends to be more of a game of disaster. And while you may save a couple of machines faster than this other method, in the long game, I find it. I don't know, just find it doesn't win for me. But hey, yeah, other people may find it's their preference. I think that's the other important thing with the repair industry is people have to also understand that, there's multiple ways of going about things and try them all, and then you end up picking one based on your personal choices and experience too. So back to checking the rails, I think. Go through the rails, see what's not behaving. And maybe this is fixable, maybe there's a fault that I miss. And I would dare say I have declared certain machines as non-fixable, which have been actually fixable. But that comes down more to business sensibilities than technical capabilities. And of course, I'm also equivalently stupid right now, so therefore we maybe have a point. I unscrewed this when I actually need it to do my rail testing. I think if you had a nice board with all your pro points on, I've got a couple of those PC Byte things. If you had a deck and you had like 5 or 6 of them available, 8 up to 8, and then you could put your board down and you can bring them all down, and then you record the sequence. Then if you're all rigged up for that, that's great. But 90% of the time, because you're chopping and changing between jobs so much, you don't really get a chance to set that rig up all the time. Hey, Warren Stamps. Well, that's just it. Info Squad, it is easier to you, as you say, to you. I'm just saying, to me, it's not my personal attack method. That's all. Alright, let's go for the rails. And certainly, like if I've got prototype boards that I'm developing or anything like that, some sort of things, and I'm having trouble with communications, and yeah, I'll break out the scope and find out what's going on. Particularly because I already know what I'm going to be chasing. I already, sort of eliminated other areas and things like that. And your development board, generally, it doesn't change 3 times a day or 4 times a day. At least I don't have that sort of resources available that I can get a new circuit board spun up in a half a day. And so for those scenarios, yeah, you've got your board set up, it's a fairly fixed thing, then using the scope, yeah, that's where I use it. But for this sort of work, it's after a while I just find it easier to sort of go, well, let's just do a process of elimination through just the meter and stuff like that. And with the I2C lines, it's more of a symptomatic approach. Anyway, I'm wasting time, to be honest. Come on, quad display. Probably helps if you have a much bigger workbench around here too. That always helps. When you're space constrained, there are certain things that go out the door. Yeah, I'm bringing up the quad. Just going to check that the I2C lines do have balanced values. God damn, why do I feel blind right now? Ah, that's right, I'm up here. Alright, so these two should be the same. Would help if I actually did it the easier way, which is positive to ground. Put 7.3. 7.3, okay, so that's balanced. Seven two. Okay, you're a little screwy there. 7.2, that's fine. Five two, it's fine. Four one. You gotta be kidding me. Wow, that's real nice of him. They actually split these two resistors on opposite sides of the board. You don't normally see that. Normally, when it comes to the I2C lines, you typically have your pull-up pairs right next to each other. But these little mongrels, they've gone and split them across two sides of the board. I suppose physically they're just on opposite sides, but like I said, normally they put them next to each other. 414, so 4-1. So like if I do this, yeah, see they're just directly on opposite side of the board of each other. But it's a nuisance because I've got to flip the board. Okay, there it is. For one, that's fine. Alright. We know the CD3215s are talking. 5-3. Yeah, same thing there. There's a smidge of a difference there. That's 5-4 versus 5-3, but I think that's within acceptable margin. Okay, let's put that on for a bit longer. So 4-1, that's fine. What was that HS CPU? I need a wider screen. HS GPU. It's fine. I could have actually a dead ISL, come to think of it. That has often happened. I get a dead ISL and I get 20 volts, but I only get 50 odd milliamps out of the chip, out of the draw. So I may actually consider just cheating, taking the gamble, cheating. You shouldn't cheat. Don't cheat. Cheating's bad. Oh, I can't get to that one. These two I can. OSIS, I'm not running voltage on this. This is all diode mode. And by the way, these are 3v3 lines. Okay, so. Yeah, we can't trust those ones. They're all going to be crazy off the line. Yeah, I'll probably. I think I might just go with. Okay, we're up to the 1v2 S3s. I think I might go with an ISL replacement because, yes, I have in the past on several occasions had it where 50 milliamp, 20 volts ends up being an ISL. It could well be wrong, but it could be right. And if it's wrong, well then that's fine. I'm wrong. Probably used a bit too much flux there. What I hate is that because you sort of jump around to different models throughout the day, you know, you can go anything from a A1286 to a modern machine with a 9240 on it, and you start to forget now and then about the symptoms that you experience and the solutions. And even when you note them down, you can still forget at times that you have experienced that. Which is why I want to put as much as I can into the diagnostic guides in Flexboard View. Because at least then I can just sort of go through and I don't have to do the memory thing. I just have to be the dumb janitor, so to speak. And like I said, that's very much for my own purposes more than anything else. Which two? Oh, you mean these two small ones? No, I can imagine that could happen. Yeah, need more flux. There we go. Nice and clean. And no need to scrape and ruin the life of some pads. It's interesting, I've got no reclaim ISLs. That's disappointing. I was kind of hoping I'd have a reclaim one and then I can just reball it and go from there. At least these ones are being reballed because they're definitely not truly genuine new. And let's see, Gordon schematic, pin 1 is to the corner notch. Now you don't want a lot of flux for the 9239s and 9240s. If you put too much down, it just makes them float away. These ones, for considering they're not really genuinely brand new, they're actually in surprisingly good condition. Pretty sure that's already gone down. Yep, they're looking pretty good. I saw 100 milliamps pop up there for a second. But yeah, we're still back to square one. So that's going to become a reclaim, that one. 55. Blumenack. Are we actually in DFU mode by some bizarro chance? Do we have a dead CPU? It'd be nice if you had a genuinely definitive way of knowing you had a dead CPU. Well, I might put it back in the chassis and plug it into the iMac behind me, see if it shows any sorts of behavior. Like I said, it did show 100 milliamp, which really does make me think there might still be a short on the one of the rails further down. Because even though it only showed 100 milliamps, because of the limited speed of the USB-C meters, they don't really always show the true peak value of what went through. It only just happens to be wherever on the slope it happened to land. We know we're charging fine. So we've only got that one part on the audio chip that's a little bit dubious, so maybe we should go over there, fix that up. I would be genuinely surprised if that was holding the whole system down, but then again, stranger things have happened. It's that chip in the middle there with the red mark on it. It's frustrating that I don't have the diode mode values for this board. So I am still genuinely concerned about those CPU resistance values. They are quite low. There's a little bit of corrosion on there. It looks like we'll brush this off. Yeah, the CPU and GPU resistance values down at the 1.6, barely 2. That just seems a little bit too low. which, like I said, would be nice if someone else had one of these boards and had contributed those values. Daniel wanted to say thank you for Flexboard. You finally got it the other day from going to OpenBoard. Oh, right, okay, alright. Well, I hope you make some good money off it, because, like I said, that's the whole point of it. If you're going to go commercial, then, yeah, it should cut down the amount of time you spend going back and forth. There's a little bit of corrosion on that. Like I said, it really hard. Okay, now we're talking. Yeah, we've got full-on edge corrosion there. See those? Chances are it's not actually what's at fault, but yeah. And yeah, a lot of those parts actually have it. That's a pretty big chunk of corrosion there. I don't know, I can replace those parts, but I have a feeling it's not going to be them, but I could be wrong. I was wrong about the ISL, wasn't I? Okay, so what parts are we looking at here? Yeah, Info Squad, we've got the open board data project, and what we do is we take the values from the various boards. Now, typically they will vary from around about 2 ohms up to about 16 ohms. It depends on the board, the GPU, the CPU, and things like that. But at least it gives us a baseline point. And most of the machines that we have do have, reasonable values. It's not that close to zero on every board. So for instance, say I bring up what's a board I've done? I think the 1598 maybe. Yeah, I've got data on this one. Do I? Damn it. Why do I not have data on that one? Oh, damn it. It's making me look quite the fool here already. But okay, well, let's take the 165. I know it's not a good example because it is an older machine, so therefore the data is going to be pretty out of date. But you can see there, you got the different boards and the different resistance that you'll read on that particular section there. And we're just going to go along and add it to as many boards as we find. And then over time, that will become a more useful resource. It's just a case of getting in there and people contributing the data. If people don't contribute, then we're not going to get the information. But I actually we have funding to now send out capture kits for people so that they will be able to add in the data. I do love seeing that. We've got the 2020 board. That's some fine piece of board work there. Anyway, back to being distracted, of course. Back to the 928. I could have sworn I had a reference board, but chances are I haven't put it in because I'm slack and lazy. The hairstyle, oh my god, yeah, okay, looking at it. That's called I had a shower, slicked it back and didn't comb it out afterwards. Okay, SPI ROM, but that's for the camera section. Yeah, well, Info Squad, again, it's not really meant to be an absolutely definitive reference. It's a case of, most of these boards are 2 ohms plus sort of thing. And you're right, there's going to be some scenarios where it's like going to be a half ohm difference between a shorted CPU versus a not. But then you look at things like the 165 that we showed, and you've got 15 ohms and 10 ohms, and most of the new ones are around about the 8 ohm mark. And so a half reasonable meter, and you would expect a person who's doing this sort of work to have a half reasonable meter, we'll be able to differentiate between a 2 ohm and an 8 ohm situation. So that's why we have it there. Yeah, because it is a quick way of at least eliminating some of the possibilities. And that's what it comes down to, is most of this sort of work, you can't really... Anyway, I've just found there's a junk on the MOSFET. You keep distracting me, damn it, man. I guess I'm just trying to explain that, again, technically, yes. Practically, day in, day out, it's still useful. Okay, that's temperature airflow. That's probably not going to be a problem. Oh, scope cam. Sorry, folks. Oh, that's something I need to fix up more. As now, Tony. Inverse squared, yeah, I mean, that's exactly the point, though, isn't it? So, I mean, yeah, heat will change things on a lot of things, like particularly the silicon type jobs. You're going to have heat affecting the resistance. And, yeah, we're only using the resistance on the low resistance rails, like CPU, GPU, that sort of thing. Things that the diode mode would give hell on. And then we use the diode mode for the other signal lines and power lines, just simply to be able to sort of go, you know what, most of them are going to land between 0.3 and up. And if you get something that drops out fairly notably, then you go digging in more and you look around for what could possibly cause it. It's not meant to be... how can I explain it? Seems to me you're a person who... You've got a very good bench set up. You're used to dealing with precision works, and you've been doing it for a long time, and you've developed this technique, and you understand the technical, you understand the math behind it, you understand the physics behind it, you understand the technical details and how that things can be broken but still show same values and all that. So yeah, you've got that method. And this is more of a, what you might call, a backyard shed style. More of the, let's try and eliminate as much as we can, let's just find the quick possible causes. It's not meant to be a lab type scenario that you seem to be working with in your work there. And like I said, it's great if you've got that set up, and it's great that you do it that way. I think it's just not always practical to do it that way for many people. And like I said, it's not like this is going to be an absolutely definitive resource. It's more a case of a whole bunch of guidelines and work your way through it. Like I said, you seem to be very good at what you're doing. And I think you probably clash perhaps with a lot of the people doing this sort of work, because of it being much like what I'm doing now, which is just really sort of slopping around, looking for a hopeful, looking for some blatantly obvious thing. Try a few diode values. That doesn't work, try something else. I imagine that's actually probably going to drive you mad. Probably give you a bit of an aneurysm, in fact. I apologise for that. But, this is pretty much the way a lot of it is done, particularly... it's just the way a lot of it's done. It would be nice to have a high-end setup for diagnostics and everything like that, but unfortunately don't always get that option. Hey, Damaris. Good evening. Ah, damn you, making me say your name wrong again. God, I hate that. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to checking some more rails because, like I said, that seeing that 100 milliamp pop up as a transient, it gives me some small amount of hope. Either that, or what's happening is it's trying to get started, and there's a sensor issue with the current sense, things like that. And all of this sort of corrosion sitting around the side, half of me wants to rip the parts off, half of me says, it's not great, but it's also not what I would consider to be a board killer either. But then sometimes it can be. And every now and then you sort of chase the wrong end of the rabbit hole and you spend 3 hours on something that really could have been solved in 10 seconds. But then there are other times where you solve something in 10 seconds that can take other people an hour or two. So, luck of the draw. Scrape the rails and check for pulsing. Now I'm just going to keep, for the moment, checking the values. Get back to where I was before. I decided it might have been an ISL situation. Maybe when I get a bigger workbench, I'll bring out the scope as a more frequent thing. From Argentina, okay. It's a country that's been through hell. What am I doing? Quad display. Yep. The trouble with chasing the pulsing rail is that I didn't see anything on the infrared camera, and I'm pretty good at picking out the heartbeat faults on the camera these days. And it only needs to be a smidge of a voltage shift, and you can see it in the infrared. It does come up fairly clearly, and we're talking down at 50 milliamp, 100 milliamp type scenarios where you're barely pushing 100 milliwatts of heat out. Yeah. Okay, so where was I? I was on the 1.2s at the moment. Okay. It doesn't help that the workbench is not to my liking at the moment. I feel quite constricted here still. The other problem is you have to find that damn rail that's pulsing. I could stick the multimeter on a rail, like G3 hop, and see if it's doing any sort of subtle dropping. Like if you hold it on there for long enough and you can just sort of see if it's ever so slightly dipping down. That's what I would do rather than pulling out a scope, because then at least I can chase down many different rails fairly quickly. And depending on how subtle that drop is, a scope, depending on your scope, may not necessarily actually show that so clearly. Although I suppose if you go scope the enable lines, you'll probably pick that up quicker. Yeah, if you're Dave Jones and you've got a dozen very nice high-end scopes that you pulled out of the dumpster, then it's hard to beat that. Hey, Jim Hooks. So you got two 1054Zs and Agilent 2004. So that's a pretty decent collection. Yeah, DEFCON, your workshop is just full of equipment. One of these days you'll actually have something to fix in there too. That's not a piece of equipment. By the way, it looks like Red Probe, but it's not really Red Probe. Switching over to ohms, 87, that's fine. Like I said, the big problem here is that I don't have a reference board. It would have been nice if I had one of those. Are you going to get a Microsoft hood like Jason? Probably not, no. I have seen it, and I talked to people like Rob Brown, who did a bit of coding for it as well. There was a little bit of a... Actually, no, I'm just going to shut my face right now. I don't want to cause trouble. Hey, Toast Tech. Yeah, good, thanks. Kind of a bit tired. I've been shifting rubbish and like as in garbage out of the yard. Threw out a whole bunch of old cupboards and stuff like that. One, two. Again, it's a bit hard for me to... I'm just assuming if these aren't shorted, then they must be okay. That's basically what I'm relying on right now. Because, like I said, I don't have a reference to go by. But if I... That's another reason I want to get this fixed. Okay, so we've got this damn surface corrosion. It looks like it's atmospherical. What was I saying? Yeah, it'd be nice to get this fixed so that then I can use this as a reference. Ah, damn. The earpiece is starting to pain. Okay, time to change the hairstyle to someone else. Who am I going to be today? I don't know. I might actually switch over to continuity mode. That'll give me a whopping great big beep if it gets a hit. What's this? Gas is bad. I switch. What's the chip number on that one? You're talking about the one that Lewis has got a video on about being the chips turning GAY. Is that the one you're talking about? Oh, gear acquisition syndrome. Damn it. I thought you were actually talking about a chip that was useful. Thanks for misleading me there. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Unbelievable. You see, I do not have the room currently for most of my work. I will say it's very frustrating. Hey, are these fuses any good? Yeah, they're fine. Yeah, there's a one of these boards, and I think Paul S did a video just recently about them, and they have a chip on them which goes a bit dud, and it's a GAY chip or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of it. Oh, you son of a gun! Why would you stick the damn? So basically, for me, I have one storeroom, which is almost packed to the rafters, and then I have this room, which is definitely packed to the rafters. Oh, that's the 1598. Okay, so it's not really. Yeah. The only reason mine are packed to the rafters is not because I'm hoarding, quite far from it. I actually have to throw out a lot of things periodically simply in order to be able to have enough space left for new jobs coming in. And as it's well known, when you throw things out, you need them the very next day, and that happens far too often around here. So I really do need a proper workshop, like a proper shed that's like 10 by 10 meters or something like that. Defcom, that reminds me, I've got to get myself another hot air station, and I'm probably going to get myself another microscope at some point too. But things like getting tiles for the house take precedence at this point. And believe me, I want to get those tiles. We've been in this house for almost 20 years, well, 18 years, and we've just been waiting the whole time to have the opportunity to start working on it. And now that we own it, we can do that. But we have such a massive. I say 2.3, that's fine. We have such a massive backlog of things that need to be done, things that need to be fixed. It's going to take me a while. Generally, I try to get the same brand on things. At least I can then sort of mix and match or test for issues. Yeah, and yeah, that's it, Mels. I've still got to get my CNC. I haven't got that. And what's the other thing? I haven't even fired. I have taken out of the box, but I have not fired up that preheater yet. So I've got it, just haven't fired it up. 206. We're really running out of rails at this rate. Wait, where's this rail? Damn it, mouse. The mouse is being a bit of a pain. Alright, what's going on here? Oh, you're really starting to tick me off, mouse. See how it stutters? I need a mouse pad. Tony W, which device are you referring to for me to check? Because, I mean, certain... Oh, you mean the preheater, yeah. I'll have a look inside that thing. Especially after I nearly had... Okay, 5v5S5. Especially after I nearly had a board maimed by the other, iPad, iPhone preheater. That was not something I was happy about. Ah, duh, I just did 3v3 sus. No, I didn't get a CNC yet. I wanted to because I wanted to make some reballing tools. Okay, we've got a deviation up here, I think. Yeah, we've got a design deviation up here on the board compared to the board view. So can we see we've got a vertical orientation for these parts here, but it's actually rotated 90 here. It's not a bad problem. We're just going to instead use these two. See, Daniel, working on 165 board, no light on charger. No, my drag 3V SMC will drag it down. Take the SMC off, see if it comes up. It's moderately common for that to happen. No, it's not a mirrored view, they've actually just rotated it. Because remember, these board views are not actually, like the 928 and the 239, they sort of shared. Which is why I want to, it's why I want to make Flex Board View actually have a better edit mode, because then we can actually do the individual boards such as 239 versus 928 versus, say, you have the 426, the 163 and the 138. There's a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of discrepancies, and I want to be able to make it that we can edit the boards and produce genuinely matching board views for those particular boards, rather than just sort of like hacking our way through it. Oh, it's a 281, 928. Right, okay, well. Anyway, the point is that, there's board views that we use which aren't quite perfect matches. And we still use them because they provide at least a reasonable level of help. I'm going to get to the end of this and there's going to be nothing changed. Okay, that's actually open circuit. Oh no, it's not. It's called the tip of my probe getting a little bit dirty. That's it. We've done them all. Nothing's come up. Ach, nee, man. It's a pain. I might just put this aside until tomorrow then. You drag yourself down with this sort of fatigue and your brain starts to get fuzzy. Sometimes it's better to have a look at it and you have new light the next day. We'll do something different instead for the moment. Alright, what do we got? Alright, I've got a machine here. Actually, I don't know what's quite going on with it. Maybe someone can guide me on this. But it's been genuinely clustered and some serious liquid damage. But I do get an Apple logo, but it never comes out of the Apple logo. It just stays on the Apple logo. And believe me, this has been seriously water damaged. So, I mean, look at all that. I've cleaned, it's actually gone through a quick ultrasonic just to knock the worst off. And so I get an Apple logo when I connect it up to a good screen and keyboard, a good deck assembly. But that's as far as it goes. So I guess I'm looking for something that would cause it to stall out like that. I mean, there's just so much damage on this thing. I don't know how long it was running with the power applied, but it was certainly a while. Amazingly, a lot of the connectors are all good. There's like things like that little itty bitty resistor there. That's disconnected. See what that's for. Hey Daniel, thank you. Much appreciated. I thought you already gave your contribution with the flex board view. Okay, let's go to microscope. And then of course we've got to find out, you know, what is this? Is it 1598 or 1950? 1958. Nope, it's not 1958. Damn it. Oh, there's lots of dodgy caps. What is this damn board again? Oh, look at that. That fuse. Yeah, barely anything left of it. It's amazing the backlight even works. Where do they hide the number on this one again? Boards without infill are pretty too. What? I missed that? I've missed a joke there, have I? Oh yeah, right, yes. No, you're right. I understand what you're saying there. Yeah, they do look pretty, but then you sort of want them filled in. I don't know why that second board you sent me made my system go crazy. Basically what it is it comes down to the fact that the board outlines in the GenCat are segmented board outlines and are not sequential. So it can describe segments of the outline like a random jigsaw puzzle, whereas typically with the board outlines we have just a sequence of points. And it is actually not always easy to convert a segmented board outline into a sequence point outline. On first glance you think it'll be trivial, but then you find it's not for various reasons. And you can't just use algorithms like find the nearest neighbor sort of thing. You can do it, but it isn't always guaranteed to work. 928 Lewiswicky says check resistance and bus MC5 through SCL. It doesn't say what it should be though. I did check both of those, the SCL and the SDA, and they were the same, so I sort of assumed that should be okay. Anyway, well, I hate it when my voice just does that, busts out. It's like I'm going through puberty again or something. And funnily enough, I didn't have that drama that a lot of people, you go on, your voice just goes, oh, really deep, and oh no, it's not. Yeah, I didn't encounter that sort of situation. Thank goodness. Yeah, look at that. That's just, this whole area is a butcher fest. But anyway, it's still not helping me find out what this board number is. Why don't I know? And that resistor is, I don't want to knock it off just in case I don't know what the value is, which often happens. Damn it, what board is this? $1814. Nope, definitely not 1814. 1521 maybe? 1521, right. We'll check under the heatsink to be sure. I think I've only got 2 screws in this because they're almost completely dead. I did have this heatsink off before, because obviously I didn't put it through the ultrasonic with the heatsink. I even put my own glob on it. Oh yeah, it is 1958. Except I've got the wrong damn 1958 board in my... Do we even have a 1958 at this point, or do we only have the 1521 as a rough reference? Hey, wrong Ray. I think you've gone the wrong way. Nah. Yeah, nah, mate. What have we got? 3 caps. And then, yeah, that resistor, this section here is the same, but this section is not, so I have no clue what that is. Alright, okay, so the 1598, alright, in that case I've got an email to send someone and get them working on this board, because I want this board view. Maybe they can have it done by tomorrow. So what we'll do is we'll cautiously see if we can rehabilitate that section. I don't want to touch this too much. Yeah, see how it starts to rotate off. Now the only thing I can deduce potentially is that this diode is present on the 1521, and we have a common line here, so this resistor belongs to that pin on the diode. So we can use that information to try and deduce what it could be. And it looks like save bat G. So 7071. So if I had to guess, it might be this 200k resistor. I can't really... I can try to rework it. I'm just a little worried it's not going to have an end cap on it, which I'll be doomed anyway, because in that case I can't measure it. I do want to see if I can find out if it's 200k or not. Oh yeah, I like cats far more than people. I like dogs far more than people too. I like many things far more than people. I think most people like things more than people. Most people know that people are mostly a bunch of assholes. And my deduction is correct, and that is a 200k resistor. Yeah, one way, some people find that to their preference, other people prefer or find me not ranty enough, so they tend not to follow for very long. If you want excitable rants, Jerry Springer style life, then definitely Lewis is a fantastic person for that. For me, it's not really as in, you're not going to get that out of me. Unless I knock an SMC off. But then, even then, I'm fairly sedate. Yeah, that 200k resistor, it's not sticking. So we'll go find ourselves a replacement. Check email for 1958 files. I do have the schematic one with the poorly populated partial board view in the actual PDF. Yeah, you've got the okay. We've both got the same files. Unfortunately, that's unfortunate. I will talk to the person who has done. I'll talk to the person who has done the 2020 board for us, and I'll see if they can put this one next on their list. It's going to cost me a pretty penny at the moment, but I'm more than happy to pay for it because it helps us all out. Okay, so I need a 200k. What is this? This is going to be a 201. Yeah, 200k 201. See if I've got that. If I don't, then I will just steal it from another board. I am not going to put two 100k resistors in sequence or series. I got 20k, 2k7, 6k8, 12, 27, 10, 22. You bet you watch here. I will not have the 200s. 220 ohm. Of course, I've got 220 ohm. 2K2, 3K3. Nah, it's going to be easy for me at this point just to find 200 on another board. So search, find a part. 200K, 201. I don't really need to put the 120 watt in there. It just helps sort of like constrict things a bit more. iPhones probably will have it. Yep, they do. Okay, stop. iPhone 6. What are we looking at? 13, 16 on the iPhone 6. Where are you? Okay, you buy the PMU. The PMIC rather. That's pretty easy to pick off. Oh, I was right on the SMC. Hey, I actually got something right for a change. Alright, well, good luck with replacing it. Pull out the one board that actually is sort of viable out of my one iPhone 6 collection. I have a terrifying number of iPhone 6 boards, and the reason why it's terrifying is because I have no recollection of taking these boards from people. Okay, so we want this little itty bitty one. So we've got the crystal, 2 caps, cap there. Okay, so it's that little one there. Hopefully Jason Vilmer won't turn up here, because if he does, he'll charge me a toll for actually having iPhones on the screen. He's explicitly forbidden me from doing this, but I figure he's not watching, so I can get away with it. I mean, what's he gonna do? Huh? He's in Florida. He's not gonna leave Florida. He's not gonna hunt me down. Besides, he's got to live. He's got to endure the Australian wildlife before he even gets to me. Oh, you gotta be. Seriously, Jason, how did you time that? I mean, like last night, you know, I'm talking about Jason levels of flux, and you turn up. Tonight, for the first time in the last however long this stream's been going, I'd say your name and you appear. You're not even Beetlejuice, you just turn up straight away. That's a crazy coincidence. That is really crazy coincidence. Guess I'm gonna have to pay the toll. Oh well, worst things in life. Now, some people may wonder, was that resistor potentially the cause of the issue? Now, given that I believe, was a thermal related item, I'm just going to have to go back and look again now. Hey Pedro. Okay, it's more something to do with the battery. Alright, so it may not really have influenced it, but then again, if the battery, who knows, maybe these things, I don't know, I'm too stupid. Yeah, that's probably a more likely explanation. I can't imagine he's made of warlock material. I mean, he goes swimming in the ocean, so that, on the other hand, is probably bad news. That does not look good at all. Jason's going to start trying gaslighting me. It's going to become his new thing, just gaslighting people. Okay, so that's the PMIC, and we've got literal rust underneath it. Can't imagine that's a good thing. And if you're wondering, I did wash and dry this board. That rust was present prior to me doing anything with it. So all we're doing here is I'm only doing 40 air, 380, 390 temperature. Just try and get that flux to break down anything that might be causing trouble, or at least provide some sort of insulative capabilities. Mind you, air itself is pretty good at insulating, so I may actually be reducing the effective insulation here. You gotta admit, that was pretty funny though, Jason turning up. I'm gonna say pragmatically that he's just been lurking. He's probably the one that thumbs downs everything as well. Can't find my knob. This hair's gotta change. Gavin, it actually boots to an Apple logo, but it won't come off the Apple logo. That's the problem. So I'm just trying to find things that could be causing it to stall like that. This side of the board is actually alright. This side, I mean, that fuse just amazes me. I cannot believe that fuse still passes power. I mean, look at it. What's this, Andrew? What did I miss? It's probably screaming too much flux. Yes. If I use too much flux, Jason appears. If I don't use enough flux, Lewis appears. I don't know how this is still acting as a functional fuse. It's genuinely amazing. It essentially, other than these two pads down here, it really has absolutely no metal contact. I'm not going to be able to get ideal contact there, just have to deal with that. Just trying to think what fuse I can put in its place. By the looks of it, they've rather changed the structure here. Okay, F7000, what are they using? 12 amp fuse. Yeah, that's pretty hefty. 12 amps. I don't think I've got anything that would be a 12 amp fuse equivalent. Well, I've got 8 amp. I'm pretty sure I don't have 12 amp. 12 amp seems a little over the top. Yeah, copper wire, that would do it. Yeah, I think we'll have to definitely put that one aside. Let's see, possible fuses I can use. I can try and put an 8 amp on there. I'll be very surprised if it's drawing 12 amps out of the battery. It's a good 100 and sort of. Yeah, that's a lot of power. That's 120 watts. So I'll just go find my. Even 6 amps should be more than ample. I'm kind of curious why they've used such a high fuse. Yeah, maybe there's an impulse that they're trying to cover. 8 amp, 1206 fast is what I'm going to put in there. Enameled wire, approximately 13 amp. Oh, what gauge though? Ach, niemand, come on. It's not 1.2, is it? No, I'm almost absolutely. The fact that it's only 4.5 milliohms. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's a typo, I don't know. Oh, flippin' heck. Okay, these fuses are far too large by a major factor. I can't even put that fuse down and just rely on a bit of edge-to-edge love. So what we're going to do is we'll get something like a 4924 with the dual 603 fuse gangs on them, and I'll just take one of those. In the back of my head I was thinking, given that it's a 12 amp fuse, it's going to be a 1206 size, but I was completely wrong. Six amp 1206. Yeah, all of my stuff is 1206s, because that's typically what your board fuses are. But nope, they're going 603. Alrighty. Zero ohm resistor. That should do it. Yep. 850. I don't have an 850 board, I don't think. I may have a middle... Well, actually, maybe I do have a middle portion on the 850. I'm just not sure of it. What's the bet someone's actually chomped through the fuses on these? I'm just loading up the 850 at the moment. 1,000... That's a 1206 fuse, Pionov. That's too big, physically. So we're going to go back to this option. There we go. We'll take this one here. And funnily enough, it's only a 6 amp, but honestly, if this board only requires a 6 amp fuse, then that 1598 really should only require 3 amps. But like I said, I don't know why they've gone 12. Maybe there's some sort of impulse situation that they're dealing with, or I just don't know, or maybe they're thinking about the power drain from USB-C. I just don't know. Sure, they have their reasons, but their reasons are not yet apparent to me. At least the upside is that, oops, you're not going to worry about the board burning up because the fuse was too high. Oh, look at all this flux I'm wasting. Exactly, Pedro. It's like, where's the justification of it? I'm going to put this in the chassis, the good test chassis that I have, and see if we get any further than the logo now. By the way, this heat sink and CPU did indeed have that weird toothpaste crumbly sort of toothpaste style paste in it, but I replaced it with the fiberglass transfer mat or whatever it is. So I do have this one, but it also doesn't work. So I don't have, unfortunately I don't have a reference board. At least if I want to actually get things like the resistor values, I could do that off that one. This one has had a little bit of liquid damage, but nothing compared to, say, this one. Nothing compared at all. Alright, where's my display cable? Hey Micromage, good morning. Knew I was being dumb. So I don't force these things. I'm intentionally not putting that in there. Don't think I need anything off that daughter board, do I? The fan assembly I will put in. God help me if I destroy this screen. I'll be very, very upset. Okay, that's good. I need some privacy protection in case it does actually miraculously step up today. Okay, we've got... Okay, so over 20 volts, booting. Oh, just reset. There we go. Stuck at 900, 970, almost an amp. 1.1 amps. And that's pretty much where... Oh, shoot. Alright, it's booted. Okay, I'm going to disconnect that. That's going to go straight into data recovery now. Keyboard doesn't seem to work. Yes, it does. Alright, so maybe that little resistor with the battery thing was what was causing it to not come up in the first place. So, wow, that's a bit of an unusual one. I'll have to make sure that I know what their... Damn, do I even know what their passcode is? I bet you I don't. Just gonna send a message through to the person, see if I can get them to give me the passcode. To give you an idea what I was dealing with, that's what the battery assembly and everything looked like when it came in. So it's that's copped quite a lot of damage. Okay, 2179. Yeah, so it's yeah, a bit of a train wreck, but we got it back. Hopefully it will stay up long enough for me to get the data off. It is not entirely unusual for these machines to get halfway through and then decide, I've had it, I'm not staying around, I'm out of here, and collapsing on you, and leaving you with not enough data to keep the customer happy. Anyway, we'll see. Fingers crossed. Stick that together. Alright, I've got one more job I really need to get sorted out tonight. I still haven't had a chance to get around to doing my open board data stuff. Okay. Okay, this is a great, fantastic. I just bloody well, what do you call it? Gave away the number. Damn it. I'm trying to take the sticker off. That was very bad of me. Oh. Okay, not a big fan of these phones. They have a very bad habit of cracking very easily when you try to get them apart. And this one has antenna issues. Now, often the case is that the antenna gets broken off here. It's intermittent, and what will often happen is people stick something into that hole and it makes the internal contacts sort of not rejoin. If you stick something in that hole that's a little bit too wide, then the two contacts will not come back together and you'll get intermittent service on the internal antenna. But in all honesty, that looks actually pretty good. So it makes me disinclined to want to actually tear this thing apart, because I have a very strong suspicion that I'm going to end up with a no conclusive result scenario. Okay, now I'm going to need my 0.9mm hex driver on this one. Okay, DevPom. Where am I? What are you? You're 1mm now? You guys upgraded from 0.9 to 1mm? Oh, that just really grates my bits. With the previous models, they used a 0.9mm hex, and it seems like they went, you know, that's a bit of a stupid number, let's change it to 1mm. That's okay. I have my solutions, which is to use a T4. It's not perfect. T3 is probably a better match, but T4 lets me bite onto the outside so I don't really risk damaging the internal splines on it. It's marketed as a Tough Max. Now, previously the Tough Max was the um, ZT Z84s, and the 83 was the Dave phone, I think. And I've forgotten now what the damn secret is to getting this one apart. I know there's a trick to this one. I'm pretty sure there's screws underneath this back panel. Kitty cats are good. Annoying, but good. Hey Jim, you're still up. Might apply a little bit of heat, not a lot. Let's see. I'm not a fan when phones start having, or any devices start having screws behind glued down panels like this. At least I seem to remember it being that way with this particular phone. Try and sneak a looky-loo. Miles, are you trying to get me to say which bank? Yep, I was right. There are screws under here. I don't remember the last one being this difficult to get apart. Flip me, that's warm. It's not even worth it. It's already taken longer than what this machine's worth. The previous one I've worked on with this must have been already disassembled at some point, or this one just happens to decide it's got Superman strength glue. We're not sure what to think. I'm just trying to be careful I'm worried I might upset a flex or that button. I don't know if it's... Yeah, there is a flex on it, yep. Sneaky dirty tricks like that. That was stupidly hard to get off for what it is. Yeah, Micromage, do that. It would be well advised. Fortunately, you shouldn't see them much. I said maybe I just got lucky with the first one. It wasn't so bad to get it separated. I'm not sure really what the nature of what I'm dealing with under this sticker is. I've got to be careful because I don't want to damage that flex. This is not a phone for happy people. And what's the bet this screen's going to crack on me more than it already is? I'm very much thinking I should just walk away from this one. What do you guys think? I'm thinking I'm just going to walk away from this one. I have a feeling that what's going to happen, I'll get in there, I'm going to find nothing wrong with that, and then I'm going to have all this ancillary damage. And I mean, as it is, this isn't going to go back on properly. I'm thinking this is something that should just be quietly put back together and walked away from. Yeah. Ah, great. The damn plastic is already deformed too. Yeah. This is a walk away job. And as it is, I'm already going to spend the next 15 minutes just trying to get this thing to sit back down properly. I put it in the heat press and that's about it. Some Tessa tape, some B7000, go crazy. Oh yeah, I left out the screws. Huh. Thank you. This thing's probably now it's probably now stuck down real good again. It's certainly trying. That was trying quite hard to stay stuck together. Hey, sunny days. I'm reheating the plastic in that area to try and get it to soften up that I can get it to reform. It's probably never going to be the same. It's kind of like I have to sacrifice my own fingertips. Yeah. Yeah, I think some B7000 will be the answer for what we need here. I do love these little clamps. I mean, they're expensive as feck, but they're great. But you pay for quality. And it would help if I put that the right way up. Yeah, I'll do. So that was like, what, I'm going to use up half an hour of my life dealing with a phone that I don't even fix. That makes me a little bit aggro. Alright, I'm going to be back in a second. I'm just going to go check on the status of everything outside. Okay. So sorry about that. I had to perform a lockdown procedure. Unfortunately, Alita had gone to sleep, but she hadn't brought the fair kids in and hadn't locked the enclosure area out. And then I couldn't find Loki for a bit there. And it's a bit of a challenge to, when you walk out of having spent, let's see, what is this, 3 hours on a video, and you walk out and you don't really know what the situation is outside. So you're sort of entering into an unknown scenario, and when you can't find everyone that you're looking for, you can very quickly go into panic mode, particularly at this time of night. Alright, I'm just going to build one of these to calm down slightly. Fortunately, all the rat bags are asleep, so that's a good thing. And my tube of 25 AT Tiny 45s. Clearly someone at element 14, Farnell, cannot count. I suspect what they did is they just grabbed the tube and sent me the tube rather than individually counting out 25 units. I am yet to contact them and say, you made a boo-boo. It's kind of hard to do that. You really do want to just keep them all for yourself, but I don't think I could do that. I don't have a stopper for the end of that tube. Oh well, we'll stick some more tape over it. Night, Jim. Hope those meds start working. Right, I think that's everything. Ah, no, the damn thing bent. Oh well. Honestly, I should just brush flux over it. You go, yeah, that's my tube of 45s. And so I ordered 25 and they sent me 62. Like I said, it's hard to want to send those back. Especially considering that it's a bit of a pain in the backside trying to get a hold of them lately. Alrighty. My little carrier things are probably a little bit old and the plastic's not really springing back at all, so I think I'm going to have to buy some more. Oh, that's terrible. Shane Russell, these are the open board data capture keypads. They allow us to easily capture values from the multimeter into flexboard view or anything. Basically they're just a USB keyboard, that's all. 3-button USB keyboard, that's the simplest way of saying what they are, which is exactly what they are anyway. Try a joint. That's a terrible joint. That's a much better joint. Now I'll go along and do the other half of these legs. Steve, they charged me for 25 of them. So you can see my issue. Even the packet that it came in says 25. So I'm kind of like, okay. Everything says that I got 25, except for the fact that there's 62 in the packet. That's way too much solder on those parts, but what you gonna do? Hey Shane Russell, Arilla. Yeah, I'm wondering whether they would take them back. What they may do at the most is simply ask me, they'll bring up a separate invoice just for it. In the past though, I found they often, for stuff under $100 or something, they will often, if they feel like it's genuine, they'll just write it off and say, look, don't worry about it, just our mistake, your win. But since when has Farnell been using, or Element 14 been using child labour? The reason why I preheat these with flux is because the amount of heating time required, it's not, the flux of the solder is not going to stick around long enough. What fab did I use Seed Studio, that's triple E S triple ED Studio. For my large production runs I used to use Gold Phoenix, but I haven't needed to do a large run in a very long time, so unfortunately I don't get to use them anymore. These switches turned out to be quite nice. Nicer than I was expecting. Ah, great. Killed a bug already. There's a bug on my board. That one cavitated through. Rodrigo, I have done some 4-hour streams in the past. Now the part that I hate. Alright, now I need to find my programming setup. It's around here somewhere. There we go. And I've got to change this so that it goes back to now using the tiny 45 because we actually did everything with the tiny 85. Okay, everything's recompiled to 45. Okay, that's ready to go. Not sure if I have to sudo on this one, but we'll see. Okay, it's done. And now we can see plug this in, we should get a response. We do not. Okay, Paul, what's your butt up? Flashed fine. What have I got that's reverse polarized? Oh. I know what I've done wrong. Okay, anyone want to tell me what I've done wrong? I'm sure one of you will get it. One of you will get it, I hope. Come on, someone get it. Don't leave me in disappointment. Yeah, but why have I got no power? No, I've got the diodes. The diodes are there. Bingo, Philippes gets it. Philippes is the winner. I didn't solder the USB pins. And no flyback transfer. Damaris, yeah, I'm sure I did, yeah. I'm sure. Damn you, I really am trying to train myself to say your name properly and I never do. Tony, you don't get to have that late callback on that. Just going to give it a little bit of hot air assist and hit that again. Wait a minute, it had me stumped for a second too. Okay, let's try this again. And we actually get that. Well, we're still not having success though. Error. Yeah, it's not. That's interesting. It's. Okay, it does have problems there. Let's check this one. No problems with this one. It is programmed. Interesting, it's not responding properly. It goes to show, even on simple... even on simple boards, you can end up doing weird things. Now, these are the same boards as the working one. The diodes are right. They did send me 20 series, didn't they? Yep, they're the 20 megahertz ones. Okay, so I can't see anything. Try reprogramming the chip again. Yeah, might do that. Still, I mean, it didn't need the USB in the first place to be programmable. I'm gonna sudo it. I wonder if I think I got to make fuses first. That's interesting. I would have actually thought I had that set up so it would set the fuses and set the flash at the same time, but clearly not. Okay. Make fuse. I think I've got the wrong file too. Yeah, I think I got the wrong file there. Oh, well, it's doing its thing now. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, it was the fuses that were wrong. That's why it wasn't working. So I had actually flashed the program into it, but because the fuses were set wrong, it was running at the wrong frequency. Okay, so we should be able to... And let's see. We're not going to store this data anyway, so... Okay, enter works, back works, forward works. Yep, it's all working. Alright. That's fixed. We'll get rid of that entry. What I do need to do is remove that make file that's no good. I think. I'll rename it. Okay, that should be good. We're done. So that works. Someone's going to get this one. I don't know who, but someone's going to get it. And this is my 85 unit. So I might actually just write on that. That's the tiny 85. And then that way I know that one's mine. And this can go on the stack with a whole bunch of others that I've got to make, like all of those. And then I can start sending it out with all the other stuff. That's got to go with the open board data package. And that includes the multimeter and what have I got? Oh yeah, I've got one here. Yeah, one of these multimeters, the cables that you see that I'm using, the ones with the these beautiful alligator clips, and detachable probe tips. They're very nice quality cables and connectors. It's certainly much better than what by default comes with this. So, but when it comes to multimeters, I don't know too many brands that supply you with half decent probes in the first place. So, do I have any volunteers? Yes, I do have quite a few volunteers spread across the world, but if you feel like you have some boards and you would like to contribute some data, then send me an email and we'll see what we can do. Will the code fit in a 25? Not quite. The problem is that the USB code itself will fit into 2K, but the trouble is, because I don't have a crystal on this, we use a little bit of extra, I think it's about another 160 bytes of code to program and adjust the clock PLL so that it can synchronize with the pulses on the USB. So it's a way of getting away with not using a crystal for this chip, even though it's only got an RC oscillator inside. So, do I have enough people for the project? No, we're looking for always more. I think I've got about 15 people at the moment, so we're getting up there. But I'm always looking for more, and if it's successful this time around, then it's likely that the person who is funding Lewis to fund me will contribute more money. As it is, I'm already forking out a fair bit of money to people to develop the board views for things like the 820 2020, and I'm going to send them a message before I go to bed tonight and see if they can do the 1598 as well. So, they might be able to do it, I don't know, but I suspect they should be able to, even if I've got to send them some stuff. So, but if you're interested, send me an email and we'll see what we can do for you. And that includes non-Australian people. In fact, most of the people I'm sending it to are not Australians. So there's going to be a fair whack of postage costs involved, but that at this point is covered by me. Email me and we'll get together a kit. The nice thing about having a kit is that it means we've got a consistent point of reference. So the diode modes should all generally come out roughly the same, all that sort of stuff. And the behavior and the software should be the same. It's nice to have a consistent kit that works. At least, hopefully it works. Until I give it to Lewis Rossman, in which case then he'll find a way to break it. So, alright, well, that's the end of tonight. I've been up a bit too long. I am going to go and get myself some food, send that email off, and probably finish watching an episode of Criminal Minds, just to make sure I keep up with all the stuff. Hey, Yes. Can you describe your two-layer design? Did you need... alright, well, quickly. Basically, there's nothing much to it, really. I didn't have to put these little areas on the back. That was only so some people wanted to have a prototyping area, and given that it was just a floodplain of ground copper, I broke it up, and so you can solder onto it, put parts onto it. I don't know. I personally don't use it, but I figured since the area was there, why not give someone a chance to play around with it if they want. What was the other question you had there? Do you need ultrasonic cleaning after? Well, it would be nice to ultrasonic clean it, but the switches will not appreciate that, so I can't put them in there. They will get upset by the ultrasonic cleaner. What I could do is just dip them into the ultrasonic. While I do have this 20-litre tank, I do also have a cute little 1-litre tank which I used to use for iPhones, so I can always just actually stick them in that and ultrasonic just this portion. However, personally I found just scrubbing it with a toothbrush is more than enough in this particular case. The flux is fairly light, and because the soldering is so quick and fairly low temperature, it doesn't carbonize too much, so it's very easy to get it off without having to ultrasonic. So. Okay, I think we're done here. I've got to go. Thank you all for watching, I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Until then, you'll take care. Catch you later.